Yes, the American Ornithological Society, the professional bird watchers group, announced that they are going to change the names of more than 100 species named after specific people so as to be more inclusive, or as ornithologist Dr. Carlos Cedena puts it, quote, it's going to be a level playing field where we all need to learn together. Who exactly was being shut out from learning about birds? Yes, it seems the PC police have sunk their talons into the birding world, and some are not too happy with the decision. But the society's president saying, quote, we've come to understand that there are certain names that have offensive or derogatory connotations that cause pain to people, and that's important to change those, to remove those as barriers to their participation in the world of birds. Barriers to their participation. How many people were sort of on the fence? Oh, I was thinking about doing some serious bird watching, but the origin of some of those bird names, too much. I can't go there. Look, I get changing one name after a Confederate general who was in charge of relocating Native Americans. But how about the Steller's jay? This native to the western portion of North America is named after George Wilhelm Steller, a German naturalist who discovered the bird on a trip to Alaska in 1741. The Cooper's hawk, a fierce hunter known for its skillful ability to fly through dense forest in search of chipmunks, squirrels, and birds. In 1828, it was originally named after William Cooper. He was one of the founders of what would become the New York Academy of Sciences. But nope, the Cooper is going to get flown. Wilson's warbler, named after famed poet and birder Alexander Wilson. This little guy can be found in every one of the 48 adjoining states. It was named after the bird scientist who discovered the bird, but apparently that too is ruffling feathers. The founder of something called Bird Names for Birds said the original petition to the society stemmed from an infamous incident in Central Park in 2020 when a white woman called the police because she felt threatened by a black man who was birdwatching.
Please call the cops.
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Please tell them whatever you like.
So this bird-brained overreaction is all because of the Central Park Karen? Joining us now is Rick Wright, a widely published author and lecturer, and leads birds and art tours for Victor Emanuel Nature Tours. Thank you very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. All right, so what do you make of this?
Well, what I make of this is that birding and bird watching have, over their entire history, which now spans a bit more than 100 years, that entire history has featured an exclusivist impetus. Birding is very white, birding is very middle-aged, birding is very affluent. And it certainly, I think everyone agrees, is a great idea to try and open the pleasures of bird watching to a much broader demographic, open it to everyone. What I'm concerned about, though, is that this attempt to change the English names of so many birds is sort of desperate. It's almost an indication that we don't know what to do. So we'll change the names of some birds and hope that that removes a barrier. Myself, I think that there is some naivete here in confusing how names work and how words work. Words, of course, denote things, they mean things. Names, bird names especially, are just labels. They don't really import the remainder of the biography of anyone when you assign that person's name to a bird. They're just labels. They're no better and no worse than numbers or barcodes.
Is this really a direct result of the Central Park Karen who made that comment?
No, it is not. This debate has been going on now for almost 200 years.
Really? For 200 years that the PC police have been talking about, complaining about naming them after dudes?
Yes, there have been many complaints that that these are just not informative or helpful names. One of the most eloquent sets of complaints was issued by a Philadelphia ornithologist in the 1840s named John Casson. He called it a very bad thing at its best, this naming of birds for people. And Casson, of course, has had 28 birds named for him over the last century and a half.
What's the general response in the birding community? I mean, my impression from talking to the limited number of birders who I know was that behind the scenes, everyone's saying this is ridiculous, but no one wants to actually come out and say it because they are feared being called a racist.
No, I don't think that's the case. I know and like virtually everybody involved in this conversation. And I think that the difference comes down not to saying that this motion is ridiculous, but that it's really not going to have any effect. What we instead is to show our openness to other people from different backgrounds. We need to show our openness in the field. We need to bump into doors, see that they're carrying binoculars around and say, hey, have you seen anything nice? Rather than taking the effort, the time to change the English names of birds. And these English names, so far as I know, have never been an obstacle, a barrier to. They're simply names.
Yeah, no, they are. But, you know, the PC police, they can get their, as I said, their talons into anything. Rick Wright, thank you very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.